For just $69, PULA Unicrom offers quite a bit of value, starting with the packaging, the build and the construction itself. For example, you're getting beryllium coated dynamic driver, which is kind of a bit premium. It is entirely made of resin, super lightweight. I have placed it on my scale and the weight is just astoundingly very light at under 4 grams. So which means that PULA Unicrom, it is super comfortable to wear. I have been wearing it since this morning. No issue at all. I am not feeling any kind of abrasiveness or discomfort. And on top of it, it comes also with these 2 pair of silicone tips, narrow bore and medium bore. Both of which I like, but I prefer the darker one because I always prefer narrow bore. The combination of the IEM, the resin, super lightweight, and also the ear tip, it also seals really well. Which means that in an open environment like this, there's no need for me to crank the volume higher than normal because of the seal. And on top of it, let's just have a look at the cable here. It is premium because despite being priced under $100, you are getting a properly braided cable, which also offer modular plugs. You can easily change between 3.5mm single-ended and also 4.4mm balance. And it doesn't end there. It also comes with this premium looking carrying case, by the way, which I think is artificial leather, but leather nonetheless, so that you can carry your PULA Unicrom all over the place without any issue. So super impressive for just under $100. Like I mentioned earlier, PULA Unicrom offered excellent value for $69 when it comes to packaging, build quality and everything. And you want to know what? It is also excellent value when it comes to sound and performance. And I will explain why. First and foremost, this thing is very well tuned. I am hearing the kind of sound which I would consider as linearly tuned from the lower frequency, mid-range, all the way to the upper frequency in such a way that it will be appealing to many people. It is just so very versatile for every type of music. You name it, anything from classical, electronic music, pop music, even rock and metal music. The upper frequency offer the kind of resolution, details, macro detail especially, but not so much on the micro detail. And it has that kind of sparkle and energy, which is never offensive. I'd just like to clarify one thing. I did mention earlier that this thing is suitable for rock and metal music even, but it is not suitable for all type of metal music because there are so many metal music there. For example, it is definitely suitable for technical type of metal music, heavy metal or even thrash metal at maximum. But if you start listening to extreme metal, something like black metal or even industrial metal or low fidelity metal, then the upper mid-range all the way to the treble can get a bit spicy. And the mid-range, I would classify as being transparent, regardless be it female vocal or male vocal. I am hearing the kind of accuracy which was intended for different type of vocal, for example like contralto, soprano or even baritone. I am hearing accuracy there. And of course, when it comes to instrument, the attack, the decay itself is just simply the kind of performance which I would normally expect from higher price IEM. And when it comes to the lower frequency, I'm just going to openly admit that this will be a bit more appealing to people who love mid-bass rather than sub-bass, because the sub-bass itself does appear to be kind of a bit roll-off with the extension itself. I don't think this will be suitable for people who love big bass or bass head. But if you listen to something which is like jazz or even dance music or even rock and metal music, then you're just going to love the frequency response of this Unicrom when it comes to lower frequency. And technically, it is also fairly good considering that it is, again, under $100. It has clean layering and separation. It is technically competent when it comes to soundstage. It is actually wide and open sounding, and perhaps that is one of the most impressive thing about this PULA Unicrom. It is definitely open sounding and wide with the soundstage itself, and it is also surprisingly fairly holographic as well, which means that it is also suitable for gaming, for listening to binaural type of music or even watching movies. Comparatively, actually there's not much of competition for under $100 offering this kind of sound quality and packaging, because remember I mentioned earlier the packaging itself is already very impressive and the sound is impressive as well. Perhaps we can actually draw comparison with Juice Ear Defiant, which was released very recently. It is also under $100, pretty much very similar. And the main difference I would say that between this and Juice Ear Defiant is that Defiant does sound a bit more exciting, a bit more colored, especially with the lower frequency. It is also a bit more dynamic sounding, whereas this is a bit more linear, a bit more closer to reference kind of tuning where it favors entire frequency range rather than singular frequency range. The decision between Juice Ear Defiant and this will be entirely dependent on your taste and preference. We also have HiDis MS2 Pro, which I concluded review very recently. Now this is a very tough one. Tough because if I were to compare between the two of them side by side, I would even say that I'm having a bit of difficulty choosing which one I would like more, because that MS2 Pro is a bit more versatile. You can change the nozzle, you can fine-tune it, whereas this is pretty much very fixed, fixed just like that with the sound signature itself. But both I would consider as very well tuned, offering the kind of mature dynamic handling and also very suitable for every type of music. The main difference perhaps is that, of course, being made of metal, that MS2 Pro might be a bit heavier and it does not seal really well as compared to this resin-based PULA Unicrom. Last but not least, comparison against Rosalsa Quiet C2, which was released very recently. Now, just to be fair, Rosalsa Quiet C version 2 is priced lower at around $50, where this is $69. The difference between those two, first and foremost, of course, the sound tuning itself. I would consider that Quiet C version 2 is more suitable for people who emphasize or prefer to have something which is even smoother, warmer sounding throughout the entire frequency range, especially the upper frequency, whereas this is a bit flatter with the sound response itself, and this is also a bit more technically competent versus the Quiet C2, which is again more musical rather than technical. Thank you so very much for watching the video until the end without skipping, I hope. Now click like and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram under the name of AndyAV. And also, if you'd like to support me directly, you can join the membership below for behind the scene, especially for AAV Insider and above, which will allow you to see what I am doing behind the scene